your reality, your rules means that everything is a function of itself and the mapping of itself to the independent variable and the dependent variable of itself.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you're pointing out the corruption in the world, it's because you know that there's corruption in the world, because you know what it's like to be the corruption, I guess, in some sense. So you pointing corruption out means you're creating corruption by pointing it out. And the pointing is the mapping of your independent variable on the dependent variable. And you can only say, I suppose, it takes one to know one. So I can't point out corruption unless I know what it is like to also be corrupt myself, I guess. So I'm creating corruption in the world by pointing it out because I know what it's like for me to be corrupt.
Yeah.
And the mapping of that, the creation of corruption in the world, is done by those pointing it out. In other words, reality is spoken into existence. And one of the darkest possible things I could say is, why is there evil in the world? Well, because I haven't gotten rid of all of it yet. You know what I mean?
Well, also
so that
another
makes me
dark
evil.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, well, another dark thing is hypocrisy is one of the most organic things known to mankind.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, you can't get away from it. You simply can't. The moment you, like you said, the moment you exhibit it yourself, you recognize it, and then that's what that everyone was talking about this whole time, right? And then all of a sudden you can empathize with it. But yeah, no, it's only because you are it and you've succumbed to it on some level that you can finally be in terms with it on that level. So yeah,
which is empathy. It's a matter of understanding your surroundings enough that you empathize with it. You are it on some level in this whole infinite life. Everyone's all one, spiritual perspective on things. But the more you have empathy in a way, the more you realize we're all in this together. We all need to fix our own situations as much as we possibly can, or empower ourselves to, because there's responsibility that comes with the power, but we want that power because we want to make things better. We want to have the ability to make things better and not play the victim. And that's what, often conservatism is about, at least in the U.S. perspective. And, excuse me, that kind of, lowers your sympathy, I guess. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps theory.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, man. Yeah.
So, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of saying a lot of things in a circle because that's what the whole CTMU, cognitive theoretic model of the universe mentality is. It's that reality is self-created by the mapping function that allows for the language to organize itself by dividing into two different states that reference each other in a map that creates itself and each other. So, yeah, that's the whole explanation of why reality exists in that standpoint, and it kind of explains a lot in my opinion.
Well, yeah, instead of saying there's a much higher power that creates everything, it's saying that there is the main power is creating the things that are inferencing itself, right? So instead of an object A creating a B and a C, it's just an object A creating an A and a B within itself, kind of thing. It's kind of how I see it. But yeah, it's almost taking God out of the equation, but still not, because you still need to acknowledge it on some indirect level, or some higher being on some indirect level, in order to admit the existence of this theory in the first place. So
yeah, that's why there's this fine line between pantheism and atheism, because atheism is no God belief or existence, right? Whereas pantheism is all God, everything is God, and this level of speaking everything into existence is consistent with the Bible, and yet it's consistent with this yin-yang of these opposing parts, and everything in reality is the dividing line between these opposing parts, and self-referential effect of you can't have the order without the chaos kind of deal. It's basically all religions are true, I guess, in the sense that they are self-contained within their own ideologies that they can view things from. So yeah, I guess I'm still getting along the lines of that idea of correctism, the idea that everyone is correct from their own perspective, therefore everyone is correct.
Oh yeah, All right. So then what? There's no objective correctness then. There's only subjective correctness, which is only correctness based off of what you already know as correct.
Yeah,
So
or
you can
willing
only
to consider as correct.
right. So you can only agree within yourself as to what is correct about everything that's going on around you, which is the most correct way for any reference frame to view the things around